Check on both Facebook and YouTube.
Okay.
So let me check on YouTube if we're live. I'm going to check on Facebook as well. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, you're live.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, this is great. All right, so hi everyone, this is Armin Navabi from Atheist Republic. Today we're going to be talking about the latest news on religion, atheism, secularism, politics, and everything in between. I have Allie here with me. Hi, Allie.
Hi.
So Ali is going to be keeping an eye on the live chat. The YouTube live chat is going to show up on the screen. If somebody could message us or say something. Oh yeah, there we go. Mark is saying hi guys, so that's working. Ali might read some of the YouTube and Facebook live chat. The Facebook one is not going to show up on the screen, but Ali is going to keep an eye on it in case somebody asks something. Try to keep the comments relative to the news. Um, Also, Ali, if anybody uses the super chat function, please let us know so we could thank them and read their comment. And also, guys, if you like what we're doing here, please go to our YouTube channel, Atheist Republic, and subscribe. Please share this show if you're to people that are interested. We do this every week. We cover the news and atheism, religion, and basically give you a summary of everything. And if you like what we're doing, just subscribe to our YouTube channel and share this with as many people as you can. Also, most of our videos get demonetized, so if you do want to support our show, feel free to go to our Patreon and support us there. We actually do have one Patreon from last week, which is DB Jill, so thank you so much for that. We do have a lot of expenses that are more than the revenue coming in, so to keep going, your support is really much appreciated. Um, and yeah, so let me just make sure I also share this on my own personal Facebook to let people know that this is happening. Anyways, Ali, what's the first news?
First news, we're going to be talking about a teenage girl who plotted a British museum grenade terror attack. Um, this teenage girl, she was 17 when she was engaged to an ISIS fighter who was killed in Syria. She started talking to this boy on social media, and her family, her mother, her sister, supported her and cheered her for falling in love with an ISIS fighter. So those two had this grand plan where they were going to go to the museum. They were going to, quote unquote, unleash violence and terror in the heart of London by holding hands together, shooting through a crowd, and blowing themselves up in the middle of the museum. So he ended up dying in Syria before this plan could go underway. So this girl still decided, her last name is Bowler. So she still decided she was living in London. She decided she was going to go to Syria after he died. But she wanted this plan to still carry out. So she got her sister involved and said,
Oh
you know,
fuck.
I'm going to go to Syria. So I'm going to need you to um, work out this plan that I had going on here. And while she was communicating with her ISIS fiance online, she got introduced to some undercover law officials who were talking to her about her plans and things like that, pretending to be ISIS fighters themselves. So they were completely onto her and everything that she was doing. Before she could make it to Syria, they ended up arresting her and bringing her in for her plots and her plans to unleash this terror, and her mother as well, by the way, because her mom was involved in these plannings
The whole
and
family was involved.
the whole family.
Like
Yeah,
everybody
everyone
was
is
okay
so
with this.
excited.
Yeah, wow.
They
How old
were,
was the
yeah.
sister? The little sister? How old was she?
She was, I think she was. They don't mention how old she was.
Okay. Oh.
Because, okay, so while she was in jail, she was talking to her sister on the phone, right? And she referenced an Alice in Wonderland themed tea party, which was code for the attack. So she's talking to her sister and she's giving her sister this, like the plans through some Alice in Wonderland themed tea party thing. They ended up decoding everything she was saying to her and realized that she was getting her sister to bring out the attack in Westminster with knives that she was going to be purchasing. So they arrested her, her sister as well,
These are not very
and
good
she's still on
codes. Like
trial.
it seems like a random thing to bring up in prison. Like
Right?
yeah, like
Why would you be talking about that in jail all of a sudden? But
Yeah, like
uh,
yeah, doesn't sound suspicious at all. I mean, they seem to be idiots, and that's why the entire time everybody had eyes on them, right? They knew what's going. Like they weren't ever at risk the entire time. They were under watch, right?
absolutely, yes,
Mm.
they were.
Yeah, but it's
So,
weird that that was everybody in the family was like, "Hey, I'm going," like was in on it. Like there wasn't one person in the family that was like, "Okay, what the fuck is happening to my family?" Like it seemed
right.
like, "Hey, mom, can you carry this?" Like, "Hey, I'm going to Syria to join the jihadis. I was gonna attack this museum. Little sis, can you do that for me? And when I'm gone, like what the hell? Like, what's? Oh my god! And these are these people like born and raised in the UK?
I don't think that they were born and raised in the UK. I did some separate research to try to figure out if they were born and raised in the UK, but I
Mm.
think that they did. Um, I
Uh,
mean, they were living there at the time, but I don't think that they were originally from there.
Theo Mackey in the live chat is asking why would they target the British Museum? I've been to the
So,
British Museum. It's pretty actually is awesome. Go there because actually, if you're in London, a lot of tourists don't go to the British Museum. It's free. Okay, it's not like the Louvre that you have to pay for it. It's just you could just walk right in. It's awesome.
wow.
Yeah, it's one of the greatest museums I've ever been to. Um, I f- yeah, but go on. Sorry, I think that wait, what was in there? That was the Rosetta Stone is there. Yeah, so go check that out. Uh, but yeah, why you were gonna say why would they attack the? Why would they
Because they
target?
wanted to take down just as many people as they could,
Yeah,
and
it's
they wanted
busy.
it to be, in the heart, like just where kind of the heart and soul of things were. So
When I went there,
they
the security was like really. There was good security. What were the plan to get in?
Their plan, so they were going to shoot through everybody to get in there,
Yeah, good luck with that.
and then they, in quotes, depart the world holding hands and taking others with them. So they were
Mm.
going to have grenades strapped to them, and after they shot their way through to get inside, they were just going to pull the grenades and kill everyone around them.
Where did they had the grenades?
So she was actually in the process of getting them, and then they were tracking her. So the online law
They
enforcement
right.
officers who were posing, they were tracking everything that she said she was getting, and she ended up telling them that all she needed was a car and a knife, and she could finish getting the things she needed for that. And then her fiance was killed,
Mm.
and that halted the plan. It didn't end the plan for her 'cause she still wanted it carried out, and that's why she,
Right.
got her
Yeah,
sister.
very
You're gonna
committed.
do
Hey,
this.
like this, let's not just get this fiance dying to just like get in the way. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. These are some messed up committed people. I mean, this kind of shows like people say like, oh, these are just young girls influenced by this bad guy romance thing. No, the guy was dead and she was still wanted to carry it out, right?
Right.
Um,
Well, and her family, when they found out that she had only been talking to this guy online for 3 months, and whenever they decided to get married, and she declared her love for him, and her family encouraged her to find an ISIS fighter, and they celebrated her when she did.
wow, Jesus, this is it. This is in London, and
Yep.
these are these British citizens?
I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, I couldn't find that information out.
Hmm.
So,
What's happening to the UK? Um, it's gonna UK is gonna be a warning lesson for the rest the rest of the civilized world. I think. So I
yeah.
think like everybody like Canada. I'm hoping like Canada is gonna look at it like yeah let's not do that. Let's not make sure that doesn't happen in Canada. Um, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I'm actually. I mean, they are going after. I mean, at least it's good to see that they have eyes on these people. Right? I mean, these people seem to be like idiots. Like they didn't even know how hard it is to just like you can't just go order grenades online or something, right? Like I don't know.
Right?
Like you can.
I don't.
like they seem to like not have any fucking clue what they were doing. So, I mean, I don't know how much credit the police should get for being able to um, stop these before, because it seems like they were just signaling to everybody that they're terrorists, right? So, but still, let's be grateful that they protected people.
Definitely.
Influence doesn't force behavior. She chose this. She chose this. Well, I mean, um, I mean, you don't. I mean, I'm a determinist, so I don't know how to respond to that right now. How long until Ali face reveal? Ali is on Facebook. Okay, the only reason why we're not doing Ali video is because there's so many tabs open right now, and I don't
Yeah.
know if my computer can take more video. If I have her on Skype right now, if I also do video, I think the processing of that is going to crash, make me everything buffer all the time. But she's not hiding her face. She's like, by the way, Ali, should we give the news about you, personal news?
Yeah, we can.
All right, okay, let's give that personal news. Okay, say it. What
So
happened?
I'm gay. I came out of the closet finally.
Yay!
Yay.
We should do an.
And
Yeah, go on.
yeah, I'm on Facebook. If you look for me on Facebook, I'm Atheist Allie. I think it's like, yeah, facebook.com/Atheist Alley. And I'm also Atheist Alley on Twitter. So
Yeah.
if you're ever curious about who I am, you can definitely find me there.
Yeah, so she came out of the closet as gay 10 years after you came out as atheist,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
which shows that for you that was more difficult, right?
Much more difficult. Yes.
Okay, but congratulations.
Thank you.
We're so happy for you, and we're so honored that you came out. But it shows how much religion influences people's lives. That 10 years after being open about your atheism, you still think there's too much pressure to be openly gay, right? We
Right.
should do an entire episode of this.
We should.
Yeah.
We should, because I've got a lot to say about it.
People in the live chat are saying whoop whoop, and Theo is saying, so Jeremy's saying whoop whoop. Theo, I'm just going to say Theo because I don't know how to say the rest of it. Theo is saying, yeah, you're out, congratulations. Eric is saying, welcome to the family. That's great.
That's
Um,
great. Thank you all for the support.
yeah.
That's wonderful.
I think you were overwhelmed with the amount, like when you came out on Facebook, you got like mostly positive, lots of support, didn't you, right?
Tons of support. And I
Yeah.
got so many messages from people saying that they hope one day they'll have the courage to do the same thing.
Oh, people in the
Yeah,
closet?
so yes.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I got so many messages from people that were like, I totally understand how you felt. I'm there too. One guy was 56 years old.
Oh my, and he's
So
still in the closet?
still
Oh
in the
fuck!
closet.
Holy
Yeah.
shit! And is that such a waste of life to be so scared of society? That's so sad that they feel that society makes them feel like that, right?
Right.
But I think like the fact that you come out of a closet, it's not just for you, because when people in the closet, when they saw how many comments did you get? Like I saw like hundreds of comments, right?
Yeah.
Oh, what happened? And
Felt like it.
I think like somebody in the closet, when they see those comments, they're like, maybe at times, maybe because you're from where? You're from Texas, right? So
Yes.
so when they see that, they were like, maybe I can do that as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
Anyways,
an easy place in Texas. So
right. Ali is awesome. People are saying in the live
thank
chat.
you, Soraya.
Rainbow,
Thank you.
greetings. B just saying greetings. He just joined. Hello. Moose has just joined us. Okay, next news.
Okay, next news. So this story was kind of big. I'm going to give you the whole story from the start, though. A teenager who killed her husband after he raped her has been sentenced to death in Sudan. This 19-year-old Sudanese girl has been condemned to death in court after she stabbed her husband to death. the whole backstory is this, right? When she was 16 years old, her family forced her to marry a man she didn't want to marry. She did not give consent to. So after she married him, she fled. She ran away from her husband when she was 16, and she lived with an aunt for 3 years. Right. So technically she's still married, but he doesn't know where she's at. She's at refuge with her aunt. Um, then 3 years later, her family tricks her to come home. And so she does so. And the second she does, they return her to her husband's
So
family.
her own
So,
family betrays her, and basically,
right.
so this is not a marriage. This is a hostage situation, right?
Absolutely.
This is like your
Absolutely.
family selling you to this man, and then you running away, and then tricking you into back to this guy that is basic. And because people call it marriage, but because you didn't consent to it, it's not marriage. It's basically rape, right? You're being kidnapped and you're being constantly raped. Uh,
Absolutely.
right. And okay, so go on.
So that's exactly what her husband does. So she's returned to him after 3 years of hiding. She's returned to him, and he tries to have sex with her. She says no. She refuses to have sex. So he calls over his family members, right,
Mm.
with assistance of his brother, a relative, a witness, and some cousins, and they hold her down while he rapes her.
What the fuck?
And
Like the
absolutely,
brother
they
is holding his own sister while another man is raping her.
Well, these were his from his family,
Oh,
from what I'm getting at.
okay. So
Y-
his husband's brother is holding her down.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Uh-huh.
What?
Yeah. And so these people, his cousins, everyone, they're holding her down while he rapes her. Well, he attempts to rape her again the next day, right? But she stabs him to death. And so he wasn't able, obviously, to rape her. She stabs him to death, and she runs to her parents. She runs to her parents because, hey, I was raped. I don't know what to do. I ended up stabbing him because I couldn't bear to go through this again. And they say, okay, we're turning you over to the police now.
The family turns her to the police. Her
Her
own family.
family,
Her own family.
her
Okay.
own family, turns her over to the police. So she goes to court. She's in jail. She goes to court. Um, the husband's
It's self
family,
defense, isn't it? Like it should.
absolutely.
This is not a husband. This is a kidnapper.
Absolutely. He
Right.
most certainly was a kidnapper and a rapist. So the husband's family says, we want her dead. She has to be sentenced to an execution because no money is going to bring our son back. We don't care. She must be convicted and given an execution. So the court did exactly that.
Is
Um,
she already executed?
No, she's not. And actually, a group called Equality Now is trying to get her clemency because in Sudan, it's law that no one can be forced into marriage. They have to give consent, and there has to be protection for children. So those laws were broken in her case, and she is very, very much a victim.
How old was she when she was got married?
16,
16. And how old was she when she killed her kidnapper?
19.
19. Yeah, okay. So,
Yeah.
hmm.
So they have 15 days to appeal the sentence, and they are fully ready to do so.
Casey is asking she had to kill two husbands, or is it more? No, just one. No,
Yeah,
no,
just one.
no. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, if some. So I think does she have a chance? Do you think or I mean, over there, how is it in Sudan? Like, if you're married, they don't. They think like you can't be raped if you're married, right? Is that how they look at it?
I'm
Or
not sure there if that's how they see it or not. I know in many places, especially we spoke about the law in India, it's that way. Uh,
I mean, if
but
somebody is attacking you, right, and
yeah,
you defend yourself, and they die when you're defending yourself, you don't get a punishment. That's self defense. So just because he has a document that says that I'm her husband shouldn't make a difference, especially given that she never consented to that marriage, right?
Well, exactly, and that is against their law. It's Articles 14 and 15 says that children need to be protected, and no marriage without free and full consent
Hmm.
can be established. Well, she didn't give free and full consent, so she was a victim there, and her husband never should have even been her husband. So he never should have even had the right to have sex with her, if they want to call it sex and not rape. So, all of those things shouldn't have happened because she was victimized to begin with. And I'm hoping that with the publicity this case has already gotten around the world, and many people are protesting. There's even a change.org petition going around for her. I'm hoping that they do give her clemency and just drop this whole thing because, yeah, she's the victim here. She is.
Yeah. Um, oh, by the way, I was gonna ask if there's anything we can do, if there's a petition or something we could link to this. But by the way, with regards to we need to update people with regards to Sharif, and the Egyptian atheist that was arrested. He's been released, but the news around it seems to be a little bit vague. Uh,
Absolutely, it
so we
does.
so we're not gonna. I mean, we don't know if he was released in a condition to showing up for a hearing or not. I think he's not commenting. So we're gonna comment on that when we get better, more accurate information, right?
Yes.
Um,
Absolutely. But there is a petition, and I just want to make sure that it's still open here. It is. It is still open. So, and it has over 200,000 signatures on it. I mean, this is
oh wow,
people are really upset about this case, rightfully so.
that's
Um,
good that it's getting that much attention. Then
Absolutely. It
okay.
is good.
I mean, people sometimes say like, "Oh, people don't care about these things because it's in another country," but it seems like no, they do. Look, they're
They
actually,
most certainly do.
yeah, like people are paying attention. That's good news. Like sometimes when people say like, "Oh, why is this not being covered?" Like, well, did you check if this is not being covered? Right, right. Like it seems, right?
Right.
It seems like it's being covered. Um,
Do you want to read some comments on Facebook
right.
that
Yeah.
this got?
I mean, it doesn't seem to be about the news. Like some person saying like, "Oh, these people are living." So Danielle is saying that is why I fuck living in a place like that. So when some of them come knocking to find a better way to life at a first world country, we damn better will do our best to help them out. And then somebody responded to that saying they can't fix their own country. We don't need them here. Ah, this is the classical
Yeah.
debate. I mean, the nationalists versus the humanists.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's not that. I mean, obviously, um, borders shouldn't matter when we're talking about people's lives at risk. I mean, I don't. And then people are like, oh, but how many we're gonna let them in? They're gonna ruin our country. That's gonna be. If you guys want to have it, that's gonna be a huge discussion. That if we get into, that's gonna be an hour-long debate. We could, if you guys are interested in us having a debate about that, we could dedicate an entire. This is Atheist Republic News. That's going to be on a different podcast, which is the Atheist Republic discussion, and we could dedicate an entire episode to that if you guys are interested. But I'm not going to touch this right now because that's a huge debate,
Yeah.
and we want to get to all of the news. Nathan is saying, and these are the real issues that feminists ignore. Well, I don't know if they ignore it because it seems like this is getting a lot of attention. Um, yeah, let's go to the next one.
Next one. So this one's really exciting because a lot of people say that you can't change someone's mind. But high schoolers in Utah convinced Republicans to accept climate change.
Oh,
So
nice.
this is, yeah, really exciting. This group of high schoolers have been working for years, actually, to change Republicans' mind on climate change. They live in a state that is
Wait,
90%.
so scientists weren't able to convince them, but high schoolers?
No, in fact, scientists were not able to convince them.
Wait.
The thing that they said, I think they're quoted in here saying something like, uh, they still needed more evidence. They needed
So
more blah
what
blah blah. But
evidence did the high schoolers provide that the
well, for
scientists didn't
two
have?
years, yeah, for 2 years, the high schoolers were working and working. Um, letting them know how climate change can't be ignored. Then they said that they needed more convincing science that exists to support it because this is a state that is 90% of its electricity is from fossil fuels. 83% is Republican. I mean, this is a red state here that really, really relies on the super bad stuff that's causing our climate change. So they don't want to change at all. But these kids, with years of dedication, showed them that look at our fire seasons, see how they're getting longer and more intense. Look at the dwindling snowpack, and increasing water scarcity. And so they just constantly showed they were patient, they were professional. These kids were professional with these adults, and they just gave them point after point after point. Look at what this is doing. And they were able to put it in such a way that the Republicans understood, and they drafted the Economic and Environmental Stewardship Bill, which passed with overwhelming majority of people wanting it passed. So they finally said, thanks to these kids working with us, we have to work harder to um, to
I'm still
help our
don't
climate.
understand what did these kids say that the scientists didn't say. Like,
Well, I
is the
think that they
is the
probably put
scientific
it in more layman's terms. You
so
know what I mean?
is the scientific community having a communication problem to explaining, like reaching out to politicians, or is it because the students seem more innocent and pure, and scientists are like, oh, he's evil scientists, always like
Maybe, or maybe it was that the
ungodly.
students used what the scientists were saying and found more personal references to what's happening in their state and in their culture right now, and said, "Look, the scientists said this would happen, and see how it's happening in our state right now." So I think that they just, they were more calm about it. They were more persistent, and they just finally did it. And people say that people can't change their minds about things once they're so gung ho on it. This is a state where 90% of their electricity is used by fossil fuels. They need the bad stuff that's causing climate change,
Right.
and so convincing these people would be the hardest. But they did it. I mean, two years. It
Yeah,
took
good
them two
job to these
years.
students. I mean, they need to talk to the, they need to go and teach the scientists on how to communicate science.
They do. That's exactly what
Or
they
maybe
need to
it's not
do.
just the message; it's also the messenger, right? Maybe because it's, I don't know, because I don't know, a lot of uh, religious right wing people are intimidated by like they think scientists have this secret agenda, anti-business, anti-Christian agenda, right? So maybe
Yeah.
if the source is somewhere else, I mean, it's a pro. I mean, so I mean, good job, well done to these kids. I hope like this, stays on their resume or something, so that they could like this is
I
really,
know.
yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, they're the ones that drafted this, but with help of other representatives of their state. But, they drafted this bill and they passed this bill. I think it's incredible what
It's
these kids did.
Beach is also pointing out trust the students more than the experts. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like and it's kind of a good news. It's a great news, but at the same time, I'm like, this is so anti-expert kind of like mentality, right?
Well, I can understand why some small town people might trust students more than experts. A lot of people don't trust experts. They think
Yeah,
experts,
but okay, but
they have
today we were
conspiracy
lucky that these
theories.
students were advocating for something that was in line with experts, right? But if we're just
Right.
but would but if we're not relying on experts, tomorrow there might have been a whole bunch of kids that were saying, why is using condoms, a sin or something? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, I don't know how to feel about this, right?
People
Because
are listening to kids right now about changing gun laws rather than
yeah,
listening
but
to
if
experts.
I know, but the thing is that are we going to be consistent and saying this good? What if tomorrow you had a bunch of Christian kids lobbying their government, and then we at that point we would be like, don't listen to these kids, listen to the experts, right? Listen to
Right.
experts. You can't. You're going to rely on these kids instead of the
But
actual
what these
scientists?
kids were saying were also what the
Yeah,
experts were
I
saying.
know, but I'm just saying that because this is what we want them to say, we're like, yay, good job, kids. But I'm just saying, tomorrow, if they were saying something else, then we're like, don't listen to the kids, right? So,
Yeah,
you don't know.
it's messed up.
Yeah. um,
But I think it's great. I think
yeah,
that it
I
is
think, well,
great this time. Like you pointed out, this time it's great.
yeah.
But I'm proud of him. I think it's just absolutely powerful what our kids are stepping up to do these days.
I think longer term solution, we have to make it cool to actually listen to scientists and look at peer reviewed academic research. Like we have to,
Bill Nye did that for me when I was a kid. He made science cool.
yeah, or Carl Sagan, right? Like
Right.
we have to make it so that this trusting scientists or doesn't become such a negative thing among I think we have to make people demand their politicians to make their laws science based. Maybe short. This is a short fix, but I think we need to get that culture more popular. To like, hey,
Especially,
look at the
yeah.
latest scientific. Yeah, we can't rely on kids all the time. Uh,
No.
right. Anyways, let's go to. But your point is very well. You made a really good point because a lot of people are like, these stupid fundamentalist Muslims or these fucking Christian right wing Republicans. They're beyond hope. Why would we even bother talking to them? These are idiots. Blah blah blah. Or these social justice warriors. They're so far gone. We shouldn't even talk to them. Like, no, you have examples of people changing their opinions if you try, right?
Yes.
So don't give
That's
up on
right.
people.
That's right.
Um. Oh, should I read comments? Let me see. Let me know if you see anything in the live chat that we need to read. Um. All right, awesome. Now we need to get them to keep churches. Okay, nothing. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Okay. Oh, this one's so sad. So, no, wait. Yeah, this
Bir-
one is sad.
is it Mormon thing?
Birmingham woman duped daughter into forced marriage. So, bear with me because this news is a little strange, and I had to do some third-party investigating to kind of piece things all together. And I'm going to start from the beginning of the story, not from the beginning of the article. So, there was this girl who was living in Birmingham with her mother, right, and her three other siblings. When her mom said, hey, we're gonna take a trip to Pakistan. So this 13-year-old and her mother go to Pakistan, and when she's there, she's handed a document which she thinks is some sort of marriage agreement, and she's met by an imam and her future husband, who. Who this is all very overwhelming for her. Like I said, she's 13 years old, but she has to sign this document anyways. While she's there, her
In
future
Pakistan?
husband, yes, in Pakistan.
Okay.
So she's 13, her husband to be is 29. That night, her husband to be rapes her. Okay. So
Wait, is
her
this a what?
mom,
Is this a Muslim family?
yes.
Okay.
So the mom takes the 13-year-old back to Birmingham, where it's found out that she's pregnant. Okay.
Okay.
So she takes her daughter to go have an abortion because her daughter's technically not married, not supposed to be having a baby at 13, right? So Birmingham Children's Services get involved because this 13-year-old's having to have an abortion. Um, they start the investigation, but the mom tells the children's services worker that, oh, she's a teenager. She ran off with another teenager and had sex without my knowledge, and that's how this happened. So the case was closed, right?
Mm.
Um, Fast forward a little while later, this girl runs away from her home, and she ends up living kind of around the place in different children's homes there in Birmingham. And then finally, when she's 15, she has to live in a place where her mother helps take care of her a little more.
She didn't
And
tell anybody that, hey, my mom is making this man rape me in Pakistan?
nope.
No. Okay.
No, well, she had learning disabilities too. Okay,
Okay.
this child did. So, all of this is pretty freaking hard for her. So she's 17 years old. She's still being treated, in a halfway. I guess you can call it a halfway home. She's halfway with her mom, halfway with her child protective places. And the mom says, you know what? She's 17. She needs to be treated to a family holiday. Will you guys let me take my daughter to Pakistan for a holiday?
Oh my
And
God.
they said, of course, sure. So they go to Pakistan where
Wasn't she
this girl,
terrified about going to Pakistan again? Like,
absolutely, but her mom is psychotically abusive to her. Uh, she doesn't have a phone, right? She doesn't have any money. She doesn't have anything of her own. Her mom has access to her passport, and her mom basically, even though she tells those people, I'm pretty sure what she did is she told people, "I'm going to take my daughter for vacation," and then all of a sudden just like takes her daughter, and her daughter's like, "No, I don't want to go," and she's like, "Tough shit, you're coming to Pakistan with me." So she takes her daughter to Pakistan, where she's subjected to crazy amounts of abuse. She's beaten, she's forced into like some slavery where she's got to cook food all day for family. And she's presented with a marriage certificate again. And her mom tells her, she says, I don't want to get married. I don't consent to this. Her mom beats her and
wait,
says,
why
I
why
will
does the mom keep wanting her to get married? Like, what's in it for her?
money.
Okay. So
So
she's
the man
selling.
that
So she's selling. Essentially, she's selling the daughter.
Well, either she's selling the daughter or she's doing it to appease her new husband because the guy she's marrying her daughter to is her husband's brother or nephew.
What the hell? So
Uh-huh. No,
she's
nephew. It's
whoring
her
out her
husband's
own
nephew.
daughter.
Basically,
Okay.
absolutely. That's absolutely what she's doing. So they get to Pakistan. All this abuse happens. Mother says, "I'm gonna burn your passport. You'll never make it anywhere
Okay.
else
There's
if you
this
don't
is
do this."
sex slavery then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's a ceremony, right? And she has to get married. Well, while the daughter was in Pakistan, she got access to a computer and a phone on two different occasions. One time she texted her sister, let her know that that she was being beaten and held hostage. Another time she contacted a friend on Facebook, and that's when the friend on Facebook contacted social services, but her social services worker was on vacation and didn't do anything about this
And this is
at the time.
she's a U.S. citizen. Or
No, she's
oh
from Birmingham.
oh yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah. So
But is
so
but is she
after the ceremony, huh?
is she from there? Like, is she like, where is she?
Where
What
is
is?
she originally from?
Yeah.
I would assume they're probably originally from Pakistan. They didn't say in here where they were originally from, but
Okay. Yeah.
that's what I would assume. So after the wedding ceremony, mom goes back to Birmingham alone, right? Because now she's married off her daughter. She doesn't have any more responsibility for her. Well, that's when she's met by officials, and the officials are like, "Hey, your daughter's made some accusations here through Facebook, saying that you forced her to marry someone else." Well, mom lies under oath. She lies, says there was no marriage ceremony, then changes her story to say, well, my daughter didn't want to get married at first, but then she wanted to get married. Um, and now so the girl is back in Birmingham now, right?
So I think they must
And
be I think they must be UK like citizens, or else they wouldn't be taking it. Like, they would be like right.
right. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I was thinking too. Like,
Or else they would be like, this is not our business, right? I don't know.
right.
Somebody told.
Oh, one or the other. But the fact is that they brought the girl back to Britain. And when they did, her mother threatened her with black magic if she told anyone what had
What
happened.
the fuck?
Yeah, so the daughter continued to tell people what had happened, thank goodness. And the mom is still on trial.
Oh, so this is not yet finalized. She's on trial.
Not yet finalized, no, but the girl is safe. At least she's back from Pakistan, and
Huh.
I just what a twisted tale.
Okay, so she should wait. She's back from Pakistan. She's in the UK, right?
Yes.
So she should never be let. She should never step foot in Pakistan again.
Never.
Right.
Never.
Okay. I hope she sees justice, because this is like an evil. Like, even if she believes in black magic, like, I don't, like, I'm already being raped, but how much worse can this fucking get, right? Like, you're selling.
Right.
You're right. I don't know. It's weird. Let me see. Guess the religion of, yeah. So Sharik is saying it's a travesty that the UK government has to decide resources to has to dedicate resources to rescuing young women from these situations overseas, but I'm glad it does, and that finally there might be a conviction. I don't know what this. I mean, they might be UK citizens, right?
They might be.
Yeah, but yeah, I hope she. Yeah, she should never be. The problem is that even if the mom gets some conviction, the men who raped her will get away, because
Yeah.
they're in Pakistan, right? Nobody can touch
Right.
them, right? Fuck.
Right.
So they just raped her, and nothing is gonna ever happen to them.
So sad.
This is the world we live in. All right. What's the next one?
Next one is good news.
Yay! Finally, some good
Pakistan,
news. Yeah. Yeah.
Pakistan passes landmark transgender rights law.
Right.
So, even okay, yeah. So in Pakistan, they've defined exactly what transgender is, and they've set a law for it. So they've defined transgender as a person's innermost and individual sense of self as male, female, a blend of both, or neither, that can correspond or not to the sex assigned at birth. So they defined it, and then they officially said that nobody, employers or private business, can discriminate against transgender individuals. And this is, of course, historic because I don't even think that in America we have a specific law protecting transgender individuals against discrimination. So, I mean, this is kind of huge that they finally did this because in Pakistan, it's of course been terrible. People who are transgender have been forced to live a life on the streets as beggars, sex workers, or dancers. Um, so this is particularly fantastic news in that area.
What is the LGBT right? I mean, no, LGB, the rest of the rights, like not the T part. What's the LGBT? So this is transgender rights, right? But what
Right.
about gay rights?
I don't know if there are, well, I mean, like we,
Because I know in Iran also there's transgender rights as accepted to be transgender in Iran, but it's not accepted to be gay. I mean, to act on being gay, right?
really, okay.
Right, because what happened I know, for example, in Iran, they say, well, if you're gay, they accepted that being gay is biological. Like, well, if you're a man and you want to have sex with another man, you have to be turn into a woman first. So they kind of confuse transgender with gay, right? So
Right.
there are many gay people that don't want to change their sex, right? Or gay women that don't want to change their sex. But in Iran, if you're gay, if you're a woman and you want to have sex with another woman, you have to go under operation and turn into a man before you could do that, right?
Ugh.
So they recognize transgender rights, but they don't recognize gay rights in Iran, which a lot of people in the West find weird because in the West, gay rights was accepted before transgender rights, right? Like we made more progress on gay rights compared to transgender rights. So when they hear in a country like Iran, you could get hanged for being gay, but being transgender is a-okay, they were like, what? Right? Because
Right.
right? It seems like the other way around. But in Pakistan, my understanding is, and I hope somebody from in the live chat is from Pakistan, is that the people are more scary than the government. So much so that if you've been accused of blasphemy, you might prefer being arrested because at least in jail you're safe, than just being found by the mob and killed, especially the many brutal ways I've seen people being killed. So, I mean, even the government there is really afraid of the Islamic mobs. Um, there was there are people there that lost their positions because they just said something a little bit that seemed like wasn't out of line. Like just recently, I don't remember the story exactly, but there was a situation where they mentioned Muhammad as a prophet, but not as last prophet, and there was a whole bunch of fucking protests about that, right? There was one guy that was
Yeah.
killed by his own bodyguard because he showed solidarity with a woman that was accused of blasphemy, and he said he should. This politician said that she shouldn't be in jail, and his own bodyguard killed him, and and then the bodyguard was executed for killing the politician, and there was mobs came out in his funeral. Like thousands of people came for his funeral because they considered him a hero for killing this politician, for protecting a blasphemer, and his burial ground is now turned into a shrine. So in countries like, not that the Pakistani government is not scary, is still like you still get arrested for blasphemy, right?
Yeah.
But compared to Iran and Saudi Arabia, in Iran and Saudi Arabia, you're more worried about of the government. But in Pakistan and Bangladesh, I think you're more worried about your neighbors and the mob and the people, right, coming after you.
Right.
So I don't know if there's a backlash against the government. Did you know? Did you see anything about a backlash against the government for passing this law?
No, I haven't seen anything about a backlash against the government for passing it.
Hmm. It's interesting. Anybody?
Strange, right?
Yeah. Anybody in the live chat from Pakistan?
I do
Uh,
want to address some of the comments in here. Soraya says, ladies, gays, bisexual, transgender, Q is the unknown sexual orientation, right? So, what it stands for, Soraya, is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. Q stands for queer. Um, and so I just wanted to clear that up for you. Eric says U.S. doesn't have any federal anti-discrimination laws besides workplace and government service. That's what we're talking about here. So in Pakistan, they're saying
oh,
that no business owner, private or government, is allowed to discriminate against transgender individuals. So in the U.S., we don't have that same.
right. So Pakistan actually, I'm just reading it right now online. Pakistan doesn't have anything for sexual orientation. So it's kind of like Iran. It's the opposite direction. So they now have laws against discrimination for transgender, right? But there
But
are
not
no
for
laws in
gays.
Pakistan against discrimination or harassment based on sexual orientation, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So if somebody's transgender and you don't hire them in Pakistan, you're breaking the law. But if somebody's gay and you don't hire them because they're gay, you're not breaking the law.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't go, Ali. Don't go to Pakistan.
No, I'm not going to go to I won't be going to Pakistan.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I mean, never. I mean, none of us should because we're atheists. We're forget being gay or transgender. Yeah, yeah. We're anti-Islamic. We're not just atheists. We're anti-Islam blasphemers. So yeah. So we're way past the point for us even. Yeah. So Martin is saying a step in the right direction. That's awesome. The question is, will they respect it? Actually, that's a good question because
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times when the people do something, the police is like scared of doing something, because people might be, the people are sometimes stronger than the army. Good for them. Fantastic. Yeah, this is great. Yeah, I mean, good for the transgender people, at least, and I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in Iran, when it was legalized for people to do sex exchange operations, uh, many people there still didn't accept it, though, right? I remember there was this doctor that was in hiding because the father of the person that he did an operation on and turned into a woman, the father was looking for the doctor to kill the doctor. So he was in hiding for that. So that was like scary. So even if it's legal, the people might still not like it, right? So I don't know how it is.
Right.
I don't know how it is in
Right.
Pakistan. Maybe the culture there is, because, yeah. I mean, for example, the amount of influence religion has on a society is sometimes also limited by the culture, right? So Philippines, for example, is a very, very Christian country. But being gay is very accepted there, right? Because it was so out and open, always there, that even though it's a very Catholic country, they never managed to, be very anti-gay there, because it was always there, right? It was always celebrated.
I
But
didn't know that.
yeah,
That's
but
that's good to know.
divorce is not accepted there, right? Because it's against the Bible. So it's weird in different countries which part of Christianity they focus on, right?
Right.
So there's no divorce on Philippines, and some people are challenging that, I think. So let's hope that they manage to. Anything in the live chat that we need to read?
Let's see.
Oh,
Savannah
Sunshine is
joined
here.
us, so
Savannah.
yeah.
Good. Okay. So let's go to the next one. Oh, this is cool.
Someone in the live chat wants us to say something about the Paris attack. So a couple hours ago, there was another attack in Paris.
Oh yeah.
Before we move on to the next bit of news, I would just like to report that it looks like right now we're seeing two different reports of 2 people are dead, 8 people are injured. I saw another report that said 1 person is dead, 4 people were injured, but a man went around stabbing people, trying to kill them, saying, "Armin, why don't you say it?"
No, you say it. You say it.
Aloha Akbar.
Hello.
Was
Hello.
that better?
No. Hello, Akbar. Okay. But so two people. So this is happening this just happened. So we don't know much about it, right? So
Right.
um, we're gonna get updates on this for next week. 2 people died.
Definitely.
I was hoping that nobody died. I thought like this was
Yeah.
yeah. I
I
thought this.
saw I saw a report that 1 person died. I saw another report that 2 people have died. So
And how many
we'll just
injured?
one report said 4, the other said 8.
With
So
just knife, like with the knife.
yep, just with a
So he
knife.
managed to just run around and kill, like do this
Just
before anybody
stabbing
stopping
people.
people.
And then the police shot him. Yeah, when the police showed up, they had to shoot him to stop him.
Right, but yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I went to Paris. I think after the main Paris attacks that happened, Paris I think is very safe right now, because everywhere I went there was guards everywhere. And I know these stories might suggest otherwise, but I think it's safer than ever right now. Even with this attack happening, because there's so much security, and like when I went to Paris, there was people like police with like big guns, and like every few feet you would see like just 3 or 4 of them walking and just patrolling the streets, right?
Wow.
And I think because of these terrorist attacks, even like random crimes must have dropped, because now there's police everywhere. But yeah, you can't catch them all, right? There's gonna
Right.
be a few that slip through, and this is unfortunate.
Beej
But
said that 2 are dead, including the stabber. So that makes sense. Thank you,
oh,
Beej.
including a stabber, right?
Yeah.
In
Okay.
Yeah. We don't want to people say you can't judge before you get the news. We have to wait until before saying this was an Islamic attack. But we're gonna try to stay skeptical. But if somebody is shouting Allah Akbar, I think Occam's razor suggests that this was an Islamic attack, right? So
Yeah.
unless he was just trying to, I don't know, trying to troll people before dying. But
Yeah.
we'll get more updates from you once we see what next week. Let's make sure we include the summary of this in next week, because this
Definitely.
just happened while we were on it.
Just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So what about this news? Let's go to this
All
one.
right. So everyone remembers Ken Ham's Creation Museum, right?
Right.
Dubois is going to open up the Quran Park, showcasing the miracles of Islam.
I really want to go to this, but I don't know.
I do too. Well, admission's going to be free for everyone.
Oh, that's good.
So yes, that's great. They're going to have some prominent features of the park, such as the Cave of Miracles and the Glass House.
Wait, the Cave of Miracles, is that the one that people fell asleep in for ages and then woke up and everything was different?
I think so. Yeah.
Quran Park. This is actually I wanna go there. I don't know. Okay, guys, I don't. People say, "Oh, go to Dubai. Dubai is safe," and I like okay, but I don't really want to take my chances because I saw some people getting arrested in Dubai because they were having sex and they weren't married. Like okay,
Wow.
what do they right? So I would like people say Dubai is like, oh, fine, and there's so much tourism there. You can go there. I'm not gonna take my chances, right? But I really want to go to this park. What? Okay, go. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go on.
No, it's fine. It's so exciting. So it's going to be the Cave of Miracles, the Glass House. In the Glass House, they're going to be growing plants that are mentioned in the Quran.
Wait, what is this
The
glass house supposed to represent in the Quran? I don't remember. I remember being a
certain
glass
plants.
floor. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know about the glass house itself, other than the fact that it's going to be growing types of plants and trees.
Is there a health section? Is there a health section?
I don't know. I wish.
That's half of the Quran right there. If you don't have hell, like most of the Quran is obsessed with what's going to happen to the kafirun. There needs to be like kafirun having lead being poured down their throats and angels smashing them in their face and their skins being burned off.
There should be like a tunnel ride, a tunnel ride to hell.
No, seriously, if this park doesn't have a hell section, then it's like missing the main intent of the Quran.
That would be so awesome.
Okay, go ahead.
In this park, they're going to have kiosks that sell teas and food, and they're going to be also selling the plants that you'll see in the glass house, which include like pomegranates, olives, melons, grapes, figs, garlic leeks. If you guys are wondering what kind of plants we're talking about here, there's basic ones that in the Quran they were used as food and medicine. So they're going to be selling those plants at different places, but growing those in the glass house.
Okay, Genesis saying Dubai is cool, Armin. Yeah, okay, it's really cool for most people, okay? Most people, even if you're an atheist or whatever, you go there, Dubai is not going to... I mean, I know there are people in Dubai that were arrested. I know this because of having sex, okay? So it's not all cool. And I just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I'm not. I have a book out, Why There's No God. We made Atheist Republic. I really don't know. I know a lot of people think that Dubai might be okay for most people, but I might be an exception. I'm not sure. I really do want to go to Dubai though, if it is safe. I just don't want to take the chances though. Okay, so Beej is asking if there's an embryo section. They should, yeah, because there's yeah, you're right. That part of the Quran should be there, and what parts of the Quran needs to be there that is not there? So they just
somebody in the comments mentioned Muhammad's flying horse. So
yeah, but that's not in the Quran.
That's in the Hadith, right?
Yeah, I mean there's reference to it, but not. The details of it is not there. The Quran part. Man. I think most of it should be hell. Is there 72 versions somewhere? You know how you go to Disneyland and there you have princesses and you take pictures of them?
That would be amazing.
They should have like naked girls with wings, right? And you take pictures.
We have to go.
Yeah. I think they should have versions. Angels, yeah.
That would be so awesome.
There should be a place for the martyrs where Muhammad is, and like you can't see his face, like light is coming out of it, and that's where the martyrs are. And all the martyrs are like missing some limbs, like one of them is missing a head, the other one is missing a hand, and they're all there
Yeah.
next to Muhammad and listening to him speak. That's like the highest level of heaven.
So there's a
Man, they
map
should
of
talk
this
to me.
park that has
I
like
should be in.
36 different sections to it.
Wow. I really want to go.
So,
Guys, can you, if
yeah.
anybody from Dubai is listening, can you go take an Atheist Republic fan sign? Like go and like hold an Atheist Republic, hide your face, but like take a picture with Atheist Republic logo and send it to us from one of the main features of the park. That would be awesome. Actually, don't do that. No, there's security camera there, right?
Oh, probably.
Yeah, they could track you down. No, don't scratch. Don't do that. Forget what I just said. All right. I really wish I could go to Dubai. Dubai is really cool. I don't know if I'm just afraid it's too close to Iran. Somebody might kidnap me and just send me to Iran. There's too many Iranians in Dubai too, so I don't know. Jean D is saying I can do it. Jean, don't take any risks. Jean D is from Saudi Arabia, so he's pretty close. I'm going back to Saudi soon, and it's very near to where I live. Yeah. Be careful. Don't do anything that could get you in trouble, Jean. I really wish I could go to this goddamn park. We could do a documentary. We could like video and discuss every section. We could open a Quran and read it. And
that would be awesome.
And see if it's accurate. See if it's misrepresented. That would be so cool. All right. Soraya is saying, Armin, are you assigning missions now? No, don't do that. I don't want to be held responsible for people being in trouble. Homework assignments. You put it in my head. I can't back off now. Oh, no, Jean. I'm not going to take responsibility. No, don't do it. Okay.
Jean, don't do it.
Don't do
yet.
it. Don't do it. We're going to miss you in the live chat.
Sunshine just brought up some information. She says here in South Africa we had a mosque attack this week. For anything like that, guys, if you can put that in our comments with a link to the news, we will definitely discuss it.
Yeah, in the YouTube, Savannah Sunshine, please mention that in the comment section of the YouTube version, the non-live version of this, right? So when the live is done, after a few like half an hour or so, then the YouTube non-live version of it is going to be published, and leave all the news that you want us to cover next week. Leave that in the comment section, and
because I look at it every week, guys, and it's so helpful to me. And you know, we gotta see what you want to hear. So
and we want to cover the news that the Atheist Republic community want us to cover. So please do that. And actually, leaving comments in that video also helps the video be shared. YouTube recommend our videos to more people, so it helps us that way as well. But Savannah, which Africa you're from? Where in Africa? Which country? Oh, South Africa.
Okay. South Africa, yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing that with us. That's really helpful.
Definitely.
All right. Next one.
Next bit of news. So, okay, Spring Arbor University. Wait.
Let's go back. We should read the top comments. Manoj is saying they're gonna have a guy who is beating his first wife because she said fourth wife is asking for chocolate because she's 9 years old. So oh my god! So they're gonna have a section. Oh no, that's sad. Philip is saying, can Atheist Republic organize a coach trip? Yeah, wow, Philip actually read our mind. I love to go. I want to go on the flying horse ride that took Muhammad into outer space to crack the moon into. I think he's mixing the stories together. I will bring my own lunch. Yeah, actually, Shaq al-Qamar is in the Quran, the splitting of the moon. There needs to be, and the roof of the park, there needs to be the moon, and every once in a while, you know how in Disney, like, you have a volcano and every once in a while it just erupts, right?
Yes.
So they should have that in the Quran park every once in a while. Like, like people like see, oh, the moon is splitting in two, and there's like sound coming and everything's shaking, and then the moon splits in two and then comes back together, right? That people were like, that would be, they should have hired us for this park. I think you have so many ideas.
We would have done such a better job.
And Ara is saying, bet it won't show Muhammad. I think they could show Muhammad. What they do is, like, when they show Muhammad in cartoons and stuff, they just don't show his face. It's just, like, light coming out of his face. So that's all you have to do. You just have a figure, and instead of a face, you just have, like, a light coming out, right? So that way you can show Muhammad. All right, what else? These are good comments, good suggestion. With the, I don't know if this is true, so I'm not going to read it. Yeah, actually. All right, so let's go to the next one.
All right, next story. Students at Christian schools are pushing back against anti-LGBTQ bigotry. So specifically what set this off was at Spring Arbor University Chapel. A preacher got up there and was screaming stuff like, I don't have time to tell you the history of those who have come to our church transgender and given their hearts to God and changed. I don't have time to tell you the stories of lesbians that come to our church and repent of their sins and now are living straight lives. I don't have time to tell you about murderers who walk in and they get changed by the power of God. So he's going on. This preacher is comparing the LGBT community to murderers who he can change through the power of God.
So, okay, so this is their anti-bigotry. So these are Christians, and they're trying to be anti-LGBTQ bigotry. But their message of them being pro-LGBTQ is that, hey, we even save murderers, and like, is that how I'm reading this? So
no, yeah. So this guy's comment is actually what set the students off.
Oh, okay,
the students were like, this is some bullshit, because why should a lesbian have to come in here so she can live a straight life? I'm sorry, but that is especially damaging to a lot of people and religions who are LGBTQ, who get told that they have to adhere to society's standards of what they were born into. And it is damaging. It is damaging as fuck. So for this guy to be up there bragging about the fact that he has taken lesbians and they now lead straight lives, fuck him. Right. Yeah, exactly. And so that's what these students are saying. These students were like, So after his sermon, they gathered at the steps of the university library and
right after his sermon, like right after.
It just says after.
Okay,
I don't know. But they went up there and they held a rainbow flag, silently telling the school that, the LGBTQ community exists here, and we don't think that this bigotry is okay to be preached from the pulpit. Well, the reason why this is such a big deal, and for anyone who went to a Catholic or Christian university, as I did, you know that saying these things out loud can get you expelled from the school.
Okay, so this is a very Christian school, and the Christians and the students are saying to the Christian schools that are church that this is bigotry.
Right. Yeah, they're saying that gays and lesbians exist here, and even actually just by them saying to the school that gays and lesbians exist, that in and of itself might not violate the religious rules that the university has, but saying that they should be able to have relationships and get married does violate the rules.
Where is this again?
Of the university. This is Spring Arbor University.
Where is it?
So. I want to say it's in Minnesota. Is this one in Minnesota?
So these kids could get expelled.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even the school I went to, if you were to say something like this or demonstrate, if you were to go against the university's standards for morality, then absolutely you would be expelled from the school.
Yeah. I would say if you want to go all out and fight anti-LGBTQ bigotry, then you should also be fighting the Bible.
Yeah, and the author of this, brings up a fantastic point here. This preacher goes up there and says, I don't have time to tell you about the murderers who walk in and they get changed by the power of God. How many murderers are just walking into church? Are these people that have already, done their time? Are these people that just murdered some fresh person off the street and they've got blood on their hands? Like, who are they talking about here? It feels to me like that's a bit of a lie. It's a bit of a stretch, but I don't know. That's not really the moral of this story. Um, if those students at Spring Arbor face any consequences, we don't know about them yet. But just knowing, having gone to a Catholic university myself, I know that there are very strong. I mean, like you even had to go to mass so often, or at least say that you did. So I don't know. Yeah,
So
it's weird.
somebody in the Facebook comments pointed out, why are they apologizing for someone else's mistakes, right? Like they're saying they're holding a sign saying on behalf of Christians we're sorry. Like did they do this themselves? Like I
So
don't.
that picture is actually a Shutterstock picture, and I
Oh,
wish that
okay.
they hadn't included that because, yeah, the
How did you
picture
know
kind of
that? Wow, you did
detracts
your
from.
research.
I did, thank you.
Good job. So the article, the image that is being used in the article is not the image
Is
of the students, right? Okay.
correct. Yeah.
Okay. Um. All right. Let's go. Anything in the live chat that we need to read?
So Sunshine's asking, but what about free speech? So at a lot of private universities, you don't have free
No, no.
speech.
You do have free speech. You just don't have a free platform.
Well, okay, you're not free from the consequences of your free
Yeah, but
speech,
that
right?
was never covered in free speech, right? So, like,
Yeah.
for example, here's the example I give. Like, if I just go to someone's church and just start shouting at everybody like, "Hey, your God is a lie. You're all idiots," and they were like kick me out of their church, I can't just be like, "What happened to free speech?" Right? That's their church. They can get to kick me out whenever they want, right? It's their private church, right? If
Right.
I can, like, if I go to someone, like, let's say a family is having dinner, and then I just open the door and just jump on top of the dinner table and be like, "Hey, you all are praying. Haha, you're all deluded. Fuck your God." And if they call the cops, and then they can be like, "Hey, what happened to free speech?" Right? So what I'm saying is that this is the school's own, um, platform, and if the
Hmm.
students can demand that this is not what we want in the school, so the school can decide, well, this is our school, and if the students don't want this, then we could get rid of this guy, right? uh, they can do that. Like, have a right to free speech doesn't give you a right to an audience, and it doesn't give you a right to a platform. Like, for example, if you block somebody, let's say somebody blocks you on their page from Facebook, right? And be like, wow, you're an advocate for free speech, but you blocked me. Like, yeah, but it's my Facebook page. Just because I'm an advocate for free speech doesn't mean that I have to have it on my Facebook page. It means that
Right.
it means you get to say it on your own platform and in public spaces. The government should not come shut you down. Uh, if you have a website, if you have your own radio show, if you're going to the park and handing out pamphlets in the public areas, nobody should be able to stop you. But that doesn't mean that you have a right to my platform that I created. If I want to kick you out of my platform, I get to do that because it's my
Well,
platform.
I think what we're trying to say in this aspect, whenever you go to a private religious college, you actually you sign paperwork saying that you understand the your limits, right? You understand that you have to go to church, or you have to you can't say this openly, you can't hold this opinion, and those are the kind of the things that you agree to whenever you go there. So the whole free speech thing, if you do later change your mind, while sure you're allowed to say that you've changed your mind, but that doesn't mean that you're not still held to the same standards that you agreed to before. So it's a strange concept. It's really weird.
Right. Anyways, I think we spent enough time on this story. Let's go to the next one.
Next one. Let's
Oh,
see.
this
Make
can't
sure
be
I'm on
good.
the right one. Yeah, so the president of Turkey says that he will, if one day our nation says enough, then we will step aside. This is what he says in his speech to Parliament. And this is what led millions of, or more than a million Turkish people to take to Twitter and social media with the hashtag Tamam, which means enough. All these people are stepping forward to say, no, we have had enough of you. Please do leave your seat. Please do step aside. Um, and yeah, I mean, like it's caused quite a rage on social media as of late.
Wow, more than a million people, more than a million Turks are asking him, are saying enough. And right, go. So he said, if one day enough people tell us to leave, we'll just leave. And then he got a reaction of more than a million Turks saying, but did he mention how many people, or he just say if like did he
He just
give?
said, if
Okay,
enough
well then,
people.
well that's, well he could be like, well that's not enough. he never mentioned what he never mentioned what the number is, right? So
Right.
he has a loophole right there. Um, yeah, I mean, what's the population of Turkey?
That is a good question.
Let's see, Turkey population.
I
It's
got
se-
79.5
79.
million.
Yeah. So this was 1
Yeah.
million people on social
Well, they're
media.
they're saying close to 1.5 further
Yeah,
down the
not
article.
enough people. More Turkey, more
More.
people, please. More of you need
If
to get
anyone
out.
here, if any of
Right,
y'all listening lives in
right.
Turkey,
And maybe demand a referendum, because if they're gonna call you butts, if it's just social media, they're gonna be like, you're all butts. So do an official referendum. Maybe do a campaign for a referendum. Um, I don't know, but Turkey, yeah, do something. Get rid of this guy. He's fucking up your country. You're going backwards. Turkey, you're
it's
going backwards.
crazy.
This motherfucker is making you more Islamic. Get rid of him, please. Oh my god. And let's see what people said.
Uh, Jean in the chat asked, is racism towards white people, is it real or propagated from the media for political reasons? I just want to let you guys know, Armin and I actually did a
Yeah, we did.
Atheist Republic discussion on that, so please
Right.
check that
If you
out.
go to our YouTube channel, you can see the playlist. There's Atheist Republic News, Atheist Republic Discussions, and an Atheist Republic voicemails. And also, Gene also mentioned that if we want our channel to grow, we have to post 10-minute videos every day. And we're gonna do that we're gonna try to do that with Atheist Republic voicemails. So please try to go to atheistrepublic.com and leave a voicemail with your opinions, and it's gonna all your voicemails are gonna be well, not all of them. The audio, as long as the audio quality is good enough and you have something interesting to say or important, it's going to go to our Atheist Republic voicemails podcast, and it's also going to be released in 10-minute sections on our YouTube channel. But yeah, what were we talking about? Oh,
Yeah. So we're still, Moose is asking, why are the Turks saying enough? So they're saying enough because the president of Turkey promised that he would step aside if enough people in the nation say that they've had enough of him.
yeah.
So, yeah, just in a short summary, that's why they're doing it.
Actually, the top one of the comments on Facebook is saying it's all well and good to say enough on social media, but to make it enough requires one to get up off of one's arse and do something. Yeah, maybe do a referendum or something like that. We can't say enough. Oh, that's clever. Tamam. Yeah, but the thing is, at least it's bringing attention to this, right? That, I mean, social media don't discount social media altogether. In Iran, there was one guy that was going to be executed, and his execution was, you know, stopped because of a Twitter campaign. So, and this is bringing attention to the fact, like, to the fact that there's a lot of people on Twitter and in Turkey that are not happy with this guy. So it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, not that
Moose
it's
is
enough, but
asking,
it's good. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, Moose is asking, can we get Trump to follow the same deal in America? I don't,
Well,
I don't think so.
it's not like he's gonna keep his deals, right? So he could just
Right, that's true.
right. Um. So next one.
Okay, this is news out of Jakarta. They're having a huge issue with overcrowding in prisons right now. And at a prison where their ex-governor is being held on for 2 years for blasphemy, there was a huge riot that broke out, killing five of the police officers and one of the inmates. And so ISIS tried taking credit for this outbreak that happened. And they wanted to make it very clear that there's no way this is due to ISIS. Um, this was actually an issue over food. Inmates, due to the overcrowding, a lot of inmates don't get the food that they want. They don't get fed um, very often. And so their families will send them food, but they have to be checked to make sure that they're not hiding stuff inside of it. So they don't get their food in time, and they get really angry. And but there are a few people that are being held here. There's an Islamic radical that's being jailed in that same Jakarta place where 8 people. um, Sorry, yeah, no, he's being held in the same prison where the outbreak broke out. But this was just such a strange story. It had so many, the guy who's there for blasphemy, the ISIS radical is there. ISIS wants credit for it, but it's not due to them at all. Oh,
Wait. So
and right now,
I'm confused. Can you explain that again? So there was a. Can you explain that again? Just a quick summary.
quick summary. So, the same jail where the Jakarta ex-governor is being held for 2 years for blasphemy. In that same prison, there was a riot that broke out, killing five police officers and one of the inmates. And what I was about to mention was that there's still a prisoner, there's still a police officer that's being held hostage by the prisoners right now.
Right now.
Right now,
Oh.
yeah.
So the so the why is somebody is arrested in Jakarta for okay? So the ex-governor is still there, still being in prison for blasphemy, right?
Right.
And there's also
Yeah.
ISIS members in the same prison.
In the same prison.
Dude, I hope in different segments of the prison.
I know, right? Like,
You don't want the blasphemer next to the ISIS prisoners.
that's just so crazy, right? And they're having such a problem with overpopulation in their prisons right now.
Right.
Um,
I mean, even if there was different segments, if there's a riot, then this governor might be like, "Oh my God, now there's no barrier. Like, who's gonna keep these
right.
fuckers away from me?" Right. So is he safe?
He is safe.
Did they take him out of the
Yeah.
prison at least?
Nope.
No, he's still there.
Still
How do you
there.
know he's safe? They have a police hostage. Who has the police hostage? Is the ISIS people have, or somebody else has police hostage?
The inmates, just
They-
the general inmates
Just the
have.
general inmates. Are the
Yeah.
general inmates cooperating with the ISIS prisoners, or do they have their own section? Like I don't. This seems like a movie.
I know. I know. Just reading this was just so jam packed with all these different action facts. But I don't
Imagine
know.
like giving a tour. Like this is the.
Because ISIS was like, these police officers are dead because of us. We
Oh,
claim
so-
this victory.
So ISIS, like, so the inmates killed the officers, and ISIS are like, yeah, that was us, and people are like, no, it wasn't, and like,
Yeah.
So they just everything bad happens, they just want to claim credit for it, hey?
Yeah, they stepped in and they were like, we did this. This victory is ours. And the government was like, no, this isn't yours. They're mad about food.
Yeah.
So it was just such a strange story
They always,
all
yeah.
around. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I don't know.
yeah, this should be. Why have I not heard about this? This seems like This seems like crazy. And
Right?
yeah. Wow. Okay. And who's holding the police? Do you know? Like how are they not able to go free that police? I mean, you have a fucking army, don't you? This country, like, they hold. I don't know. It's weird.
I know.
So the police is right there, and what's the plan? Like, that's a dumb move. Like, what they you have one police hostage,
And they're going to
and
negotiate right now. They're still negotiating with them.
negotiating what? It's not like they're gonna have all of them walk out free, right?
I know. I know. I feel
Um,
so sorry for that police officer because
yeah, he must
right
right.
now is
Yeah, this
not good.
maybe they're like maybe they just give him. You know how sometimes when they kidnap somebody and it's getting too out of hand, then the kidnappers just sell their hostage to another group of kidnappers. So
Yeah.
they might like go to the ISIS people and like, hey, you wanted credit for this, right? So here, take this hostage, get it off of our hand, and maybe they could negotiate with it. This is I just think that the ex-governor that is there for blaspheming, they should just get that guy out. Is in Jakarta, do people go to jail for being you know for being gay?
In Jakarta, I don't know. I know in Malaysia it's I don't know if it's against the law.
I just think like I'm just thinking that if the prison security falls down, is ISIS going to go look for people that they think deserve to die that are in prison, right?
I'm reading that people in Indonesia face legal challenges and prejudices,
But not imprisonment, right?
but I'm not seeing anything about imprisonment
Right.
because most parts of Indonesia do not have a sodomy law,
But they have blasphemy laws.
but they have blasphemy laws,
Fuck
right?
yeah, and your own governor could go to prison for blaspheming. That's fucking retarded. Oh, sorry. I don't know if that's. I don't know if that's PC. Anyways, Todd, blasphemy, another word for suppression of knowledge, the religion of peace. Okay, so next, last one.
Last one, our
Yeah.
Lebanon election 2018. Hezbollah declares victory amid claims of vote fraud. This is really sad news because Armin and I got news that Jaumana Haddad, who is an atheist, and she's a novelist, and she's just this like amazing woman. We got news that she won the election, and then it turns out that she did not win the election. And they're saying that TV channels were reporting her victory. And then stopped reporting the victory on Monday, leading supporters to say they were robbed. They're saying that the people in power didn't like the results, so they
All right,
proceeded
wait,
with
wait.
rigging.
Let's go. What election? Let's go to the basics. What elections were these in Lebanon?
So this was for the preliminary parliament positions. Yeah, parliament,
Right.
the democratic elections.
And okay, so the main news out of this is that Hezbollah uh, came out of this more powerful than before, right?
Absolutely,
Which
yeah.
is Hezbollah is the main Shia group in Lebanon, and is an Iran proxy. So this is a huge win for Iran, right? It's a
Right.
huge loss for Saudi Arabia. It's a huge loss for Israel. It's a huge loss for United States, and it's a major win for Iran. Um, and Hezbollah is considered a terrorist group by many, including the U.S. And now they're getting more powerful in Lebanon. But that was one angle of the story, right? But another angle of the story is that we got news that this lady, in Lebanon, in an Islamic country, well, not one. Well, Lebanon is kind of weird. Is
Yeah.
Christian? Okay, the politics is like between Christian, Sunni, and Shia. Everybody has a share, right? We're not going to go into the details of that. But in a very Islamic country like Lebanon, an atheist won in in a in. So this is just the first round. Like there's going to be second rounds, I guess.
They
I
did
mean,
say that it was the preliminary.
right. So we were told that an atheist woman won, and we were like,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's not like it was fake news. It was announced in Lebanon, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was announced from Lebanon.
Right. And after a while, they're like, nope, sorry, fake news. So this is, some people are, so her supporters are suspicious. I mean, I'm suspicious. Shouldn't we be suspicious? I mean, we were excited. I was like, holy fucking Lebanon. This is like first time in a majority Muslim country now. I mean, we don't have that in the U.S., do we?
I know.
I mean, we do, I guess, but not that many, right? Openly atheist, right? And she
That was so exciting.
Yeah, first time in an Islamic country you have a female atheist, openly atheist politician winning a seat, and we were like, yay, and they were like, boo, like, and a lot of people are like, why was this announced? Like, isn't that like people are complaining that why was this announced, and now we're saying she didn't win? Like, this seems like very shady, right? Does it seem shady to you?
It does, especially since, everyone was talking about her victory. I mean, they were saying, these votes are in, these votes are in, she's winning, she's winning, she's winning. And then all of a sudden, media stopped doing that.
Right.
They just stopped.
And so many Lebanese were excited too. Like, we heard from atheists in Lebanon, they were like, they were talking about this. They were so proud. They were so excited. And we didn't hear much of a... Did you hear much of a backlash from people in Lebanon be like, why an atheist is winning? No, right? Did we?
No.
It seemed like people were cool with it. Except
people were.
Yeah. Gene D is saying Lebanon is not a Muslim country. That's why I adjusted it to saying a Muslim majority country.
Yeah.
Because their prime minister. Okay, so it's actually very strange because it's a country where the president has to be Christian, right? Like, you can't be president.
Really?
Yeah, he can't be president in Lebanon unless you're fucking Christian, which is weird, right?
Wow.
Right, and you can't be prime minister. Correct me if I'm wrong in the live chat. And you can't be prime minister unless you're Sunni Muslim, right? And you can't be the head of the parliament unless you're Shia Muslim, right? So it was such a divided country that they were like, "Hey, let's just do this, and we all get along."
Wow.
Well, Mitch is saying, so Lebanon is a theocracy. Then, it's not a theocracy because there's no one religion. I don't know. There's elections and stuff. It seems to be more democratic than Iran, unless there's fraud in the votes. I don't know how much fraud is there. I mean, we can't verify these reports. Gene is saying, I don't. That's why I said I don't consider it one country. Yes, Lebanon is very complicated, right? It's very complicated.
Someone is asking in the live chat if they use electric voting system or ballots. They use an electric voting system.
Right. Remember, this is a country where Saudi Arabia just recently kidnapped their fucking prime minister. Did you know that? Right?
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so... Hariri. Anyways, I don't want to get into that because that's a huge story. But this is but other than the fact that we now don't have an atheist person in the parliament, I mean, this would be very awkward anyway if she had to go sit next to Hezbollah people. Like, you have chairs there for most of the people there are like Hezbollah, and they're like, passing laws based on Islam, and she's like sitting there without her hijab. And she's like an atheist next to these mullahs. This is what makes Lebanon so complicated, because you can never get. I mean, in Lebanon is you have Hezbollah being such a major power, which is an Iranian proxy, but you see, women not wearing a hijab, people listening to Western music and partying. And then you have Hezbollah, being such a major force. It just doesn't. It's just. I mean, I see pictures from Lebanon with these girls that are like showing like their hair and everything, and they seem to be like very liberal, and they're holding Hezbollah flags, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Wow.
Like, why? Like, you guys, like, it's just, coming from somebody from Iran, a girl that is would take the opportunity to take off her hijab, fucking hates anything Islamic, right? Like
Right.
that's how your mind works. Like, okay, a girl that doesn't like her hijab would never associate with Hezbollah. In fact, they would hate anything that has anything Islamic in it, or they would not associate with it. And you see these girls in Lebanon, and like, it just seems like from somebody that comes from Iran, it just seems like an entirely different world. Like, how could these two even go? Like, I see girls like with their liberal clothing, and they have pictures of these mullahs next to them, supporting them, voting for Hezbollah. It might be a lot of the anti-Israeli sentiment that people, and Hezbollah being the major force against Israel, that people just look beyond Islam and all that, and whatever is against Israel. I don't know what it is, but let me see. Gene D seems to have a lot of knowledge. Um, Gene D is saying Hezbollah is controlling South Lebanon. They basically have their own country. Yeah, but they also have political power over the entire country. Like, military wise, they have their power might be different from political, because now they're in the fucking parliament, right? Um, and Moose is saying atheist republic with Hezbollah winning elections in Lebanon. How can we deal with terrorism when they make laws to fund them? And what about arms deals? Well, this is why I think that you can't have secularism unless you go work from the ground up, right? You can't just, because in a country where there's so much support for these kind of ideas or these kind of people, you can't have secularism unless you have tyrannical secularism. And that's where your Ataturks and your Reza Shahs or your Assads and your Saddams come in. And those are not stable, and if you support those, people are going to eventually be against you, and they're going to resent any kind of intervention that you might have in their country. So you need to, if you want democratic secularism, then you need to work from the ground up. You need to reach out to the people before you can make any meaningful changes from the top. And that's where Atheist Republic comes in and secular jihadist comes in, right? So that's why you should, so Moose, that's why you should, that's why we are grateful for your support, and this is why Atheist Republic is trying to reach out to many different countries. It's not Western focused. We have most of our audience come from other countries, and we're trying to reach out to, eventually, if we manage to raise enough money, we're going to hire translators and translate our content and our shows and our podcasts and our newsletter into Arabic, Persian, Indonesian, and Urdu, Spanish, Portuguese. So yeah, we have so many plans going into future, and if we keep growing, we're gonna make them. So, but on that note, please support us by going to Patreon.com /Atheist Republic, or just find the link in the description and support our projects, because I think that's what we're trying to do. That's what we are trying to change. We're trying to change and it works. People think there's no hope. Okay. Suraya is saying please consider Hindi also. The reason why I don't mention Hindi is because most people from India that have access to internet speak English.
That's true.
So I don't know if it makes sense for us to translate. This is why I also don't consider doing Tagalog, because most people in Philippines that have access to internet speak English. So I don't know if if you translate to Arabic and Urdu and Spanish and Portuguese, you're going to reach to so many people, more people that don't speak English. But if you translate to Hindi and you translate to Tagalog, which is Philippine and India, you're basically translating English for people that already spoke English. So I don't know if that's, you get the greatest return on investment if you do that. GND is saying Arabic translation is really important. I agree. Urdu also I think is very important, and Indonesian also. I think Indonesia is very much dismissed as an Islamic country, even though it's the largest Islamic country. Their Arabic matters, not because there's no single Arab country that has the majority Muslim, but there's 22 Arab countries, so together they're like 20% of Muslims. So Arabic is very important, even though there's no single Arab country that is a significant part of all Muslims. Yeah, so guys, if you help us, we'll get into like we have like a lot of translation projects in mind. If you guys support us, if you can't support us financially, please consider sharing on Atheist Republic. Leave a review on our podcasts. Tell people that if they want weekly summaries, this is get our show. Share as much as you can. It really does help. I want to see if Soraya has a comeback to what I said regarding Hindi, but he's not. Okay. Anyways, I think that's everything. Thank you, everybody. This was great as always. Let me just see who's in the live chat. Thank you, Moose. Thank you, Jindy. Thank you, Soraya. Thank you, Eric, Mitch. If anybody is listening to this, not on later on, go to our Facebook page. We show you. There's a Facebook event that shows you when every week what time we're doing these, so you could join the live chat and have a live discussion with us while we're doing this. Mike is saying live long and prosper. B just cheers out. Thank you guys. Savannah Sunshine from South African. I can translate to South African English. Oh, that's yeah, that's great. Let's see who else was here. I really like our live chat community. Beach is always great. Froggy
And Sunshine. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. I really like our live chat people.
I do too.
Alright, so I'm gonna stop the streaming. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.